All right, guys, on the bench, I'm happy to show you guys here my opinion, one of the nicer looking radios, a SBE Console 5, or what SBE, their specific model number would be the 40CB. If you guys happen to know, or if you have a SBE Sidebander 5, this is essentially the same thing, just in a base. Has the same features. You can do the scan. The only difference I'd say is this one here has the squelch meter, which is a pretty cool feature to have, and just a really nice looking radio. Yeah, so you have the squelch. Shows you the level, how far it's squelched, and then your typical SRF and SWR meter. Yeah, so obviously the scan, you can do the scan. Very fast scanning. So this one here belongs to Rod out in Pennsylvania. He sent me a couple. Actually, he sent me a Console 5 before that was unfortunately beyond repair. So yeah, and then he sent me this one. I also have a Cobra 148 of his that he wants done. But yeah, this what a nice looking radio. This the cover. This is actually real plywood, and I'm almost positive. I'm not 100% sure, but I think this is real wood veneer on top of that plywood. I could be wrong, but it just seems like it's a better quality other than just that particle board or that MDF with a basically a wrap, a fake wood wrap on it. So this here seems like it's a real veneer on that. I have to say, the only thing that I think SBE kind of messed up on was the switch here. It just doesn't match the others. I don't know why they did that, but they're all like that. At first glance, you think this little aluminum cover that goes over that is missing from this, but it's not. This is how they all are. But yeah, they decided to make that one switch different. It is what it is, but it's a little off frequency. Obviously, it needs to be recapped and aligned. Yeah, when I was on 38 lower sideband, I had to turn this thing almost to like the 230, 3 o'clock position there. But anyway, let me read you the note. It's sent with the radio, so recap and replace any components that are known to fail, even if they're still good. I like that. I like when people try to make sure that whatever needs to be done gets done. I like that. On the back of the radio, it says to use a 4-amp fuse. I didn't have one, so I used a 3-amp to test it. That's not a problem. It was an eBay purchase, so I have no idea what they did to the speaker jacks on the back. Please make them factory again. There's a frequency mod on the PACB switch. Seems to affect channels 20 through 40. I don't want any extra channels. Please remove this mod. That's exactly what I would have done. I tried to talk on this radio and was told the modulation sucked. I wonder if some golden screwdriver who didn't understand the small compression board in the SBE sideband radios tweaked it. I know I don't. That's why I'm sending it to someone I trust. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Please change channel selector to blue LEDs. I like the white LEDs for the meter, but they get a little too bright. Can you use a resistor to dim them a little? Yeah, I can tone down that bright white. I can also use, I have what's called a warm white bulb LED, supposed to simulate an incandescent if you wanted to go down that route. What else here? I included the stock SBE hand mic, which I plan to use for the radio. I really like this small mic. I don't know if using it made a difference when tuning or not. Kinda. Please tune the factory specs, maybe 5 watts AM, 14-16 sideband. Forward swing would be great. No big swing, though. All right, you got it. Easy peasy. Yeah, these SBE mics, kind of like the Johnson microphones as well, they're tiny. Even the realistic mics are a little bit bigger than this, but yeah, these mics are great though. I really like these, the microphones, so they work fine. So this bass, SBE is known for doing kind of their own thing. They're, you know, they kind of break the mold when it comes to what you would normally find in a bass station. So the way this radio comes out is this black part that you see here, the radio itself, slides back through. So what I can do is actually show you what I mean here. Okay, yeah, so that's what he means. Yeah, I don't know what they were trying to do here. Maybe some sort of talk back. I don't know why. I don't know why you would feed the speaker wire through the PA jack and then plug it into the exterior external speaker jack. But whatever, that will get fixed. But yeah, basically you can see this metal part here. This is just the frame. And yeah, so this piece here comes out, and then yeah, this slides back, and then the bottom of this, you're gonna see it's just completely different than even the component side is upside down. So, but all right, let me get this out of the way, and we'll take a look at the chassis itself. All right, stand by. All right, so once you take out your typical spots, 2 on this side, 2 on the other, and then on the bottom front, right under there, going up, there's another screw. You take those 5 out. You undo the 2 wood screws that are here. This plate goes, this wood panel goes on the back. That comes off. You're not going to be able to get this cover off, and because it's got to slide back if you don't take this off. So yeah, you got to take this off as well, and then just slide this out. You can kind of see it's very thin here. It's not your typical base station. So all right, let me get this slid out and take it from there. All right, you see how it's shaped, so it just slides out through the backside. Yeah, that's basically it. And then you can see, like I've been saying, it's completely different than your regular base station. The components are flipped the other way. And then to get at the bottom side of this, you have to take out these 1, 2, 3, 4 screws, and then this whole panel here with the little rubber feet comes right off, and then you have access to the component side. Yeah, and yeah, you guys will see what I mean. So let me get this all taken apart. I'll take that off as well, and we can just examine it a little bit further. So you can see the foil side is on the top side, and then obviously the component side is on the bottom side. So nothing crazy, but definitely the opposite of pretty much what everyone else was doing. And that's SBE for you. But yeah, I don't know what they were attempting to do here, but either way, that's coming out. I'll get that repaired. This is the speech compression board that he was talking about. So a lot of the SBE, not all of them, but most of them do have this board in it. And for all those who are a big fan of the GE super basses and stuff, this one here actually, it's usually working, unlike the GE super bass boards that are hit or miss whether they're working or not. But the downfall, and there is a downfall to these radios, they're great receiving radios, in fact very good receiving radios, great modulating radios when set up properly. The only downfall is the pass-throughs, and this one actually doesn't look too bad. Just like the GEs, anything double-sided, you have a bunch of these pass-throughs, and some of them are really tough to get at, but they are there. There's one there that I can see right away that they're scattered throughout the whole board. You have to go over those. They are just time bombs waiting to happen, so even though your radio might be working right now, it's just a matter of time before they do fail. So you have to get as many as you can, even if it means removing components, off to the side. You have to do what you got to do to get all of them touched up. So here is the PLL board in here. Yeah, so that's the speech compression board. The PLL's in there. The scan would be below this one, and the display board. All the ICs for that are under there. Ooh, this one's a 1969 final, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, relay. Well, you can see it has to be recapped. But yeah, that's basically it for this on this side. So now, what makes this thing challenging to recap is this foil side. And these traces, tiny, tiny, tiny separation between them. Let me try to show you guys what I mean. Well, you guys can kind of see. But it doesn't take much to, where am I here? Okay. It doesn't take much to bridge over between two traces. So you have to be extremely careful with this particular, with a lot of the SBE chassis. You can see how close some of these traces actually are. Yeah, especially around here. It's quite easy to, when you're recapping, to bridge across two traces, and that just makes for a very bad day. You'll be chasing your ass for a long time trying to figure out why the radio is not working or whatever the case may be. But yeah, it's one of the challenging things on this radio. It's not that in fact, on some of the SBE chassis, what makes it even more difficult is the fact that the terminals on some of the capacitors on some of these, and it's not all chassis, but I've had a couple already. The terminals are bent over on the foil side, and oh man, it just takes 3-4 times longer to recap a radio when they're done that way. I don't know why SBE chose to do it that way on some of their radios, but they're out there, and can be a real pain in the butt to recap. But another bad spot here is for this for the display here. These go bad as well. Well, a lot of these traces and soldering, not really the best soldering from SBE, but if you just take your time, you go over them and you look at the trouble spots, and you can go over the pass-throughs. The radio will last another 30-40 years, I can tell you that, but you have to take the time to do them and try to get as many as you can. I try to, while I'm recapping as well, if I can't get to some of them, and if it means, taking out some caps and, doing the pass-throughs that way, that's what I do. But what I do is I first go through, so if I get a radio that is not working, whether it's, no transmit, no receive, or intermittent, or, one or the other, I try to go through the pass-throughs first, try to narrow down the faults, and then I'll go ahead and recap the radio, because I prefer to not hope that the recap will solve the issues, because it's not always the case. But yeah, whatever I can get to first as far as the pass-throughs, that's what I do first on any of these radios. And that goes for the GEs as well, with the stupid Cybernet double-sided boards. That's what I do. When I get a GE that is super bass, or even the Midland, I first go over the pass-throughs first before I even recap anything, try to figure out why it's, you know, whatever the fault is, try to figure it out. But anyway, I'm going to get at this. This radio, fortunately, is receiving and is transmitting, but obviously it is going to need an alignment after, but that's half the battle. Half the battle is making sure that these things are actually working properly. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and tackle the recap on this. I am going to do the alignment on this. You can get the factory service manual for this. You can also use, I'm not sure, I forget if Sam's actually has the 40 CB model, the base model. I do have the one for the console, excuse me, I do have one for the Sidebander 5, and that is the same exact thing as this, so that's what I'll be using for this radio. But I think I also have on my computer the, pretty sure I have the factory service manual for this. But either way, I think they're available online anyway. So, all right, guys, let me get at this. Stand by. All right, it's actually been a couple of days since I've had this, since I've worked on this radio, but I can show you guys the progress. So I got it recapped. It's not aligned yet because I'm still not done doing what I need to do to it. But I removed that CB PA, the external speaker PA thing that they had there. I don't know what they were attempted to do there, but that's gone. Yeah, it's recapped. Let me tell you, this thing was really tough, especially getting into some of these little areas here underneath the harness. It was challenging. They're just, you know, jam-packed in there. But anyway, it's done. Yeah, everything is recapped. I also removed that channel mod. It looked like it had uppers when I actually used it, and it was wired on the CB PA switch. So yeah, it was over there. They had a yellow wire jumped as well. They cut a couple of the traces, so I had to repair. a couple of the traces here, which is extremely difficult because everything is so close together, but it's fixed. So this is coming off the CB PA switch, so I got to figure out what they did and rewire that switch so that way it's working correctly. And yeah, that's it so far. But talked to the customer about the display that he wanted blue. I had a tough time finding a blue display that would actually fit in there. I'm sure if I took some more time and actually did a little bit more research, I could probably find something to retrofit into the radio. But when I actually looked up the data sheet, so these are HP Agilent displays. When I looked up the data sheet, there was a few different options for the red. So when you look at this one here, it's red numbers on a red background. So this is what HP calls their HER series displays. So these are meant for high ambient light areas. So I don't know why the SBE decided to use that specific display. But when you look at all the other ones, you know, like, example, this is just a red display with a black backgrounds. Actually, these are another set of HP displays. Black background with the green. These are actually Workman, like the Cobra Uniden style displays. Black with the blue display. Yeah, yellow. All of them, pretty much, they're all on black backgrounds. So while it probably will work fine in high ambient light, you know, what they're designed for, I think for like everyday use, they're probably not the right ones. So yeah, you know, he was saying that it was washed out, and I agree with him. When you turned it on, probably the camera's not going to pick it up, but it's kind of like blurred and, you know, there's no contrast, and that was his main concern. So anyway, when I ran the data, when I looked up the data sheet, I found that there was a couple of different options for the red. So this is the high, like I said, high ambient light display, but you could actually get also, like on the on my signal generator here, you can get this like dot matrix, they call it, display. I know on the camera it looks like it's just you know, one solid segment, but they're actually dots. You can actually get that. It's the same size. So these are 10.9 millimeter common anode, 11 pin. So yeah, again, when I looked up the data sheet, you could get different style in red. So I actually found that these here, same exact pin out, 11 pin, black backgrounds, common anode, were actually the same ones. So I think I'm going to end up swapping that one there, well, those two there, for these. And I think it's not going to look as washed out, and it's actually going to look better because everything else around it is black. So I think it'll just blend in a little bit better, and I think those numbers are going to come through and pop through a little bit better than with the red background. So that's what I'm going to do next. And then yeah, the hard part now, well, not hard, it's just kind of a pain, is to figure out what they did here with this switch, because it's not your typical setup here. You know, it looks like they moved some stuff around here, so yeah, I gotta tackle that as well. So, but let me get this display in first, and then we'll see how that looks. All right, stand by. All right, I think it's looking better. It might not show up as a big difference through the camera, but in person, it's a way better contrast, especially with the black background. Yeah, it looks better, I think. I think he's going to be happy with that. So, yeah, these are the this is the two display that came out of the radio. But anyway, yeah, so all right, another thing down. Let me get at this CBPA switch. All right, well, I fixed that CBPA switch. What a nightmare that was. I had to go back and trace exactly what they did, and it's just not your typical CBPA switch in this particular base. So anyway, I got it. I just wish that they had maybe ran another switch out the back through the wood vent and mounted it in a box, rather than hack up the switch as bad as they did. But anyway, it's done. So there's only two more things left to do, and that is, if you look here, this is the back side, or we'll have a top side, but in this case it's the back side of the relay. So this is a clarifier mod. It's pretty easy to do on this particular radio. Basically what you do is you just cut, you can see how they cut that. See if I can zoom in. Yeah, you can see that they cut the trace right there, and then you jump across to that trace there. But it looks like whoever did this just put a big blob of solder. Not necessary. But this is being returned back to factory, so I'm going to get rid of that jumper and repair that trace. And that's it as far as the board goes. So now the only thing left to do is the light, and you can see it has one of these, they call them fuse lamps. I know sometimes they're called fuse lamps. They put one here because the light is, the meter is so long. It's essentially 2 meters in one, so I could see why they did that. But what I'm going to end up doing is, just to kind of make things easier, what I'm going to end up doing is taking this whole bracket off, unscrewing that, and what I'm going to do is where these terminals, basically the holder, the back side of the holder for the light is. I'm going to drill those out. I'm going to put a grommet there, and I'm going to put an LED there, and then an LED down there. And that should solve that issue with getting a something a little bit less, put out a little less heat, and it's not going to yellow and cook up that backside of that meter. So I think that's the answer for that. Yeah, other than that, it's pretty much good to go. I just have to tidy everything back up, put those the little wire clips that SBE uses. Yeah, these things here. I got to put those back on, put the covers, put the shields back on the those cans there, the RF shielding, and that's basically it. All right, so you see this right here. So this is AC. This thing bit me earlier, man, and let me tell you, I got a pain. So what ended up happening was my sleeve on my shirt got caught on this here, and basically what ended up happening was the backside, the pinky side of my hand ended up touching that, and let me tell you, I got bit by the AC voltage there. It kind of stung for a little while, so please be careful. It's thank God this isn't deadly voltage here, because you know, maybe I wouldn't be around to complete this video, you know, or like a high voltage tube or something. But fortunately, it was just it's just 110. I shouldn't say just, but yeah, be careful when you're working on these base units that are you know, AC transformed. So yeah, be careful. Anyway, all right, let me get at the light, let me get at the clarifier, and then once I do that, I can officially align the radio, and yeah, close it back up, and you know, do our normal tests. All right, stand by. This one's been testing my patience, but you have to have patience when you work on these, no doubt about it. So, all right, let me get at it. All right, well, the radio's all back together. It is returned back to factory original, except for the LEDs. But other than that, it is a factory original SBE Console V, and it's working great. So here's the stuff that came out of it. Actually, we can start with the light first, this fuse lamp. When I went to go actually pop the lamp out, it cracked. So you can see how it's charred. It's charred really bad, and you can see it cracked when I went to go pull the light out. So what I ended up doing was I just used a piece of prototyping board, which is very similar to what this is made out of, and it's not going to burn up with the two LEDs in it. So this is the LED that burnt out from the PACB switch, and actually I can explain why this was added to the back of the radio the way it was, going through the PA jack and into the external speaker. What happened was when they did the channel mod on the CB PA switch, they messed it up so bad that I think maybe somebody tried to undo it and couldn't figure it out, so they kind of just jumped this through the back and got the external speaker wired into the internal speaker. I think that's what happened. It took me a long time to realize, to figure out what was going on here. Somebody had messed it up wicked bad. But yeah, inside the CBPA switch, you'll find this diode, which was just kind of bodged in there. One leg was actually desoldered off, and it was actually 12 volts going to it. It was just one like millimeter away from arcing out on the actual metal part of the radio. So yeah, that actually took me the longest time, was figuring out getting that CBPA switch working again and figuring out why I had no audio. So I hate when people do that. What I would have done was I probably just would have ran, instead of messing with the CBPA switch, because it's not your typical switch, not on the base stations anyway, I probably would have just ran it out one of these, just a couple of wires, ran it out the back, and mounted a little like project box on the top. So I don't understand why they completely destroyed the switch. And it's really tough for those who have had one of these or ever work on these. They're a real bear to work on. And to get at that diode that's in the back of this group of switches here, you have to desolder that whole circuit board where these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 switches are soldered to, and it's just a nightmare. So, but anyway, I managed to get the CBPA switch working right. I ended up getting audio back to the speaker properly. So yeah, that was a part of the channel mod. This had uppers on the CBPA switch. When I returned the CBPA switch back to its original, that kept burning out, so I changed out 2 of those LEDs before I realized something was wrong with the switch. Yeah, very challenging. These are just random pieces. This was a grommet that went on the PLL board that was completely hardened, so I put a new grommet on that, but just a ton of caps. But anyway, it's a good looking radio. It's working right, and I think he's going to be happy with the way it's performing. So yeah, I returned the clarifier back to its factory position. So something to note on unlocking clarifiers. Let me pull up this Sam's manual. It's page 80. On the synthesizer alignment, you can see the last step here is to input the frequency counter of the antenna. And channel 1, you want AM transmit, and you want to adjust for the correct frequency. But you want to adjust VR801. When not just on this radio, but actually a lot of the Unitons, when you unlock the clarifier, you actually lose this function. You lose the ability to adjust your transmit frequency on AM. I know what happens with a lot of the Unitons, and you can make the argument that, well, it's just AM, and you control it with the clarifier anyway. But me personally, I like to have, when I'm doing the alignment, I like to have control over my transmit frequency and just have it set properly, rather than using a clarifier to kind of eyeball, where your transmit frequency is. If you have a frequency counter, I guess, whatever, I guess it doesn't matter. But yeah, you actually lose that function. So yeah, when I returned the clarifier back to its original, I got this back on frequency where it should be, so you can actually see that. All right, that's perfect. Yeah. Meters are spot on. We're on channel 19. You can see he wanted like a 5 watt carrier, so we got like 4.5. Basically, he said he just wanted it back to factory. So we got audio. All right, right around like 12. He said he wanted some swing, not crazy swing. This radio will actually swing almost on sideband. This thing will almost swing to like 20 watts clean, very clean. So they live up to their name for sure. But anyway, here, let me get a two-tone. And we're on lower sideband. And right around 16 or so. Okay. You can actually see AM. Sorry. So that's really about it for the transmit. And let me, guess we can check out receive. So let me get this hooked up to the signal generator, and we can check out receive, check out sensitivity. All right, stand by. All right, there's an S9. Sorry, this thing's so big. Yeah, S9. All right. You got minus 80, minus 90, minus 100. That's minus 110. Minus 111, 112, 113, 114. It's about minus 115, I'll call it that. Almost 100, minus 115, so. Yeah, very impressive. Very impressive. So there you have it. Great receiving radio. Just working really, really nice. So let's see how this thing sounds on the monitor radio. I'll get these things cleaned up from here, and we'll put her on air, and yeah, see how see if we can get a radio check, see how it what's going on out there. All right, stand by, guys. So I actually went back and readjusted that compression audio, that compression board, excuse me, because I didn't like the way that that waveform was looking. It was a little distorted. So yeah, I went back and there we go. That's a lot better. That is a lot better waveform. All right, so let's see how that sounds. Yeah, it's super important to get that compression board dialed in right. If not, you're gonna get an ugly waveform. But hey, I don't mind showing you guys. Sometimes you know, you set things up and you think they're right, but you have to go back. In that case, I went back and adjusted it. So all right, let's see how this thing sounds. Testing 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. Testing out this SBE Console 5. Trying to keep the feedback down to a minimum with this mic, but I think it's sounding really good. I think we got a good sounding radio, no doubt about it. So sorry about the feedback, but yeah, we got a good sounding radio, no doubt about it. Perfect waveform. Yeah, I think we got a good sounding radio. Sorry about the feedback, but all right. All right, let's see what's going on out on there. All right, stand by. So the way you can use the squelch meter is to see how far you squelch. If you wanted to break an S1, S2, S3, S4, S5, and so on to S8. And yeah, that's how far. It's pretty handy, I think. You know, but yeah, that's how you use that meter.
420. This is 437 calling CQ. Please QSY to 420. Over. Round 2. Last time you run a mile. This is 437, East Coast, South Florida. Please QSY to 420. QSY to 420. This is 437 calling CQ. Please QSY to 420. Over. Yeah. You know, we're gonna straighten this mess out, you know? All you motherfuckers that voted for Biden.
Whoa!
You bunch of Democrats. Democrats is what I call them. What a bunch of dumbasses. You lard ass. Stop all the malarkey.
The tomato looks washed out, but it's pretty perfect actually in person. But I shut the lights off and I drew the shades closed, see if it would make it look a little bit better, but it's not. It's making it worse actually. Oh, someone's jamming. All right, let's go back to AM. They're not big AM, you know, they do decent on AM transmit, but sideband is where these radios really shine. .320 Boston, Massachusetts, waving of hands. Anybody got a copy on 320 Boston? Try to get a radio check for sure, but .320 Boston, Mass, waving of hands. 320. Anybody got a copy on me? 320 Boston, Mass.
No, he just has his shorts way too tight. Yeah, well, 506. Almost thought I was on 38, and I was sitting here sandbagging. What's wrong?
$320 Boston, Massachusetts. We're trying for it. $320 Boston, Mass. Waving. I got a copy on you there, Tampa Bay. I didn't get your handle or your numbers. Yeah, I got a copy on you. Thanks for the comeback. Appreciate it. I'm talking to you on a Console 5. How's this thing sounding? It's just too crowded. Go back one more time around through AM and call it a day. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. There you go. Console 5. Properly adjusted, brought back to factory specs, and working great. I'm sure he's going to be happy with this one. Thanks for watching, guys.